Welcome to the Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions podcast with Brent and Jodibailey. We are growing our circles of connections and knowledge together with encouraging conversations and positive communications. Today, Brent and Jody welcome
the host of Healing Journeys Today, Julianne Hartman.
And now, Brent and Jodibailey.
And happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions. It is Wednesday, and hopefully you're having a great day wherever you are. It is a great day to be alive, and I hope that you got a great day planned for yourself. We have a great show for you today. We have the host of Healing Journeys Today, Julianne Hartman. She is the wife of the creator of the Fairly Odd Parents, Butch Hartman, and she's going to be out here in just a little bit. But right now, over to the tech booth we go, and there is Preston and Jody. And look at my son there with his hair all combed.
There it is.
I'm professional.
Teenagers are
Yes.
so, yeah. Sometimes they care and sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they don't. Yeah.
Anyway, so happy Wednesday to all you guys over there at the booth.
Happy Wednesday to you.
It's a busy day today, so
It is.
there's lots of things
It's the
going
last
on.
day of March.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that
We're in
the
April.
first quarter is
I
over.
know.
First quarter is over.
Crazy.
So,
So
I know
crazy.
that we probably should have talked about this on Monday, but we really didn't get to. We took the last week off and was on
Yes.
spring break, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
But what we didn't talk about was ORU in the NCAA tournament.
Exactly.
How about Oral Roberts
Wow.
University?
Wow.
Jody, of
Congratulations
course,
on-
is an Oral Roberts University alumnus.
Oh, are you? Oh,
And she graduated
Yes.
with her degree in sacred music, but she was also part of the TV singers back in the day when Oral
in
and
the
Richard
day.
would travel and things like that. And they were the
Long
little
time ago.
school that could for so long, and now they really made a statement by being the second 15 seed ever to
Yeah.
make it to the Sweet 16.
they did great.
And they lost to a good
They did.
Arkansas team, but only by 2 points. I mean, now let's just call this what it is. The Arkansas is from the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you who's in the Southeastern Conference. Kentucky. Okay, the Southeastern
right.
Conference, obviously one of the big conferences in America.
Right.
They beat Florida, who is also from the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah.
And before that, they beat Ohio State. I
Yeah.
mean, come on, that's a huge
That's amazing.
number 2, number 7, and then a 3 seed, and they lost by 2. ORU is the real deal, and congratulations to the Eagles and their season. They had a great season.
Yes,
We're
they did. They
so
really
proud
did.
of them. When we were working at Rhema across town from them, we would constantly kind of see those guys around town and things like that. So
Yeah.
congratulations, ORU.
Yes,
You had a
they did
great season,
great.
and we're looking forward to more great things from you next year.
Yep.
So
So yeah.
when
so,
Jody was going to school there, now, Bill Self was the coach there.
Yes.
Remember that?
He was.
Bill
And-
Self, who's
yeah.
now the coach at Kansas, of course, started his career coaching at ORU. So
Yeah, I always thought it was so cool when I'd see him on ESPN, and I'm like, I know him.
yeah.
So
Anyway,
Yeah.
congratulations to them. What's going on around the country today?
well, today is National Bunsen Burner Day.
Ooh, all you
So,
science people.
Exactly.
It's a science.
Yeah,
furnace.
it is
Yeah.
a science.
Use your microphone, son.
Yeah, use your microphone because
Hello.
you are good in science.
So I heard they're actually worth like $1,000 or something.
They probably
They
are.
look small, but they're actually very expensive.
Can you
Wow,
explain to us
interesting.
what it is?
Well,
Hold the mic up.
okay, so it looks like a microscope kind of, but like it's got like a knob, and you turn it and it lights it up, and it's
Yeah.
like a very hot lighter kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you put beakers over it to heat up your solutions and things like that. So how do we celebrate a day like that, Jody?
We are going to sit and we're going to watch The Big Bang Theory.
All right. Bazinga!
But
All right, so
but yeah, you're just, I don't know, just sit and remember the experiences you had from science class when you were introduced to the Bunsen burner.
I've never been.
You haven't. You've just seen it. Okay. But, there are plenty of people who have had that. They've been able to use a Bunsen burner in their science experiments. So,
Sure.
so I would not advise to allow children to do something by themselves with one, but maybe
Did you
just
did
want
you
some
have the
information
kind
about
of
that.
lab in your school when you were in high school with the, our school had the black countertops
Yeah.
with the little gas port that came up. You hooked your Bunsen burner
Yes.
to. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. We all had
Yes.
those.
It was a long time ago. Maybe they've kind of done away with that a little bit because maybe there were too many accidents.
No, they still do them there.
They still do them. Okay.
So, all right, what
so
else
yeah.
is going on?
Okay, this is one Preston's really going to appreciate. Today, our national food is clams on the half shell.
Yay.
All right.
Yeah, you love clams.
Clams are good.
Clams are. Is that all you're going to say?
Yeah, come on, tell us.
I've watched
Hold
you
that
eat
mic up and
buckets
tell us
of
about
them
clams.
at a restaurant somewhere, and you're
Yeah.
just going to say, yeah, they're really good.
Yeah,
They are,
exactly.
they're
Put your
like-
mic up so everybody can hear your experience with clams.
It's like a shellfish.
Yep.
And
It's really,
Okay.
it's really good.
They're really good.
They're really
Thanks.
good.
I
Seriously.
recommend getting them.
I like them.
Pounds a bucket.
I've watched my son
Yeah.
eat a bucket of clams. That's the
Yeah.
truth. But
Yeah.
I will say this: clam chowder is the best way to have them.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I've had them with crackers and other things, but clam chowder is the bomb. So
Well, we were at Publix the other day, and Preston went up to the seafood counter,
I saw it.
and he saw clams,
clams?
and he said, "I'm gonna have like 4 pounds of that or something like that." And I was like, "Seriously?
okay.
Are you gonna eat all of that?"
Yeah, she gave
And
me
he
10,
did.
And I ate it in like
I think I
5
got him
seconds.
10, not 10 pounds, 10 clams,
14.
because
14.
they're not cheap. So
Sure. Seafood's never.
Yeah. So yeah, he ate them. He said, "Can
All
I
right.
eat these in the
Do
car?"
you
Will?"
like clams? And if you do, how do you like them? Drop down in the comments below and let us know.
And another food that is for today is tater day. Now that is like
Tater.
potatoes. I always say when I see tater, I think tater tots, but it's any
Sure.
kind of potato prepared, however you like it. Just celebrate Tater Day with some kind
Tots.
of some
Don't
kind
be
of a
a
potato.
don't be an imitator
Oh Lord,
or a dictator
right? Exactly. So
or just an other tater. Be the tater you're supposed to
he's
be.
making
All right.
a
What
joke.
else?
It's also Crayon Day.
Crayon
Yay,
Day.
crayon. Now that doesn't necessarily mean Crayola crayons. It just means crayon. Of course, we
Which
know.
that's the majority is
Yes,
Crayolas.
it's
but-
Crayola. But other companies have come in and tried to.
Have you ever heard somebody pronounce them crayon?
Yes.
Yes.
Crayon.
Yeah, it's not right.
I was like, what are you talking
It's
about?
not crayon.
What is a crayon?
Crayon is CRAN.
But crayon.
Yeah, crayon.
Have you ever been? I know that Preston has, and Peyton has, and you've probably taken them
Yes,
out to the
I have.
Crayola World out at
Yes.
the Florida Mall. If you've ever been to one, they're a lot of fun to go to. So
Yeah, they are. You get to do a lot of different things.
I bet you they're having big celebrations today
Yes, I bet
for
they
National
are.
Crayon Day.
We probably won't be going there.
Probably not. But anyway, what else is going on? Anything else?
It is also Manatee Appreciation Day. Now, a manatee is, don't they call manatees, they don't call
Sea
manatees
cows.
sea cows. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. They're really large, but from what I understand, they're docile.
They are.
And we have a couple places like Springs here in Florida that has them, and I guess we've never been, but I think you can swim with the manatees.
Yes.
And
They don't have teeth or anything. They just
No,
eat
no.
kelp and things
But
like
if
that.
they
But-
fell,
They kinda
if they
look
rolled
like
on
a-
you, you'd
well,
drown
yeah,
and die.
thousands of pounds, but yeah,
They kind of look like an otter mixed with a hippo.
and a whale
But
and a
I would
walrus.
say,
and, yeah.
appreciate this sea creature, and if you have someplace that you can go to experience them, do it here in Florida. Like I said, you can go to. I can't remember the name, but all you
Cuyahoga
gotta do is-
Springs.
Cuyahoga Springs,
There you
yeah.
go. You're welcome.
No, Wekiva.
Isn't that what I just said?
Cuyahoga.
Oh,
I think
Wekiva.
that's in
I don't know.
Kentucky or something. But anyway.
All right,
So,
Waikova Springs.
Yes.
And go swim with the manatees.
yes. So.
Preston, do you
Enjoy
remember when
that.
we were fishing that one day at the mosquito camp over on New Smyrna, and and all of a sudden you could hear the manatees come through, and all the fish just went. Pew.
Yep.
You could hear them though, kind of grunting as they came through.
And
So
the fish
Flew
They
away.
didn't fly.
They swam
Swam
quickly
away very
right?
fastly, correct.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. This week is Easter, and we are just 2 days, away from Good Friday, which is the day that Jesus was Jesus was crucified. But during that time between his triumphal entry and the crucifixion, there was a lot of things Jesus said in those few days. One of the things that he said, a couple of the things, was that he didn't measure up to what people thought a king should be saying. They were expecting a military king to come in and free them from the Romans. Jesus came in and said words like, pay your taxes, love your enemies, and do good to those who despitefully use you. And that wasn't good enough for them. And the thing about it is in this world, we are in this world. We're not of this world, but we're in this world. We need to live a life that Jesus told us to live. During this time of resurrection, he paid for it, paid for our lives so that we can live the lives that we're supposed to live. We should pay our taxes. We should love our enemies. We should do good to those who despitefully use us, and live a life that shows the death, burial, and resurrection. This is the kind of thing Jesus was emphasizing before he went to the cross. That's what we celebrate this week as Holy Week rolls on and Resurrection Sunday is on its way. We're praying that you have a great Easter this week. Amen. Amen. All right, that's what's going on around the country. Now let's jump in with our guest and expand your search. My guest today is the spouse, the wife of one of our former guests, Butch Hartman. She has become her name of her own. She's not just standing in his shadows. She worked on the Jeopardy game show for 15 years. She was a Taibo instructor and personal assistant to the legendary Billy Blanks for 20 years. She has also has begun a family-focused entertainment streaming platform with her husband called OAXSIS Entertainment. She also has a really powerful healing ministry there on YouTube. It's called Healing Journeys Today. She's got a career of coaching YouTube channel called Vision Possible. She speaks all over the world. She has also co-authored a book with her husband Butch. She is the wife of and a mother of two amazing daughters, Sophia and Carly, and we're so excited to be able to have her on the program today and for her to take the time for us. Please welcome to the program, Julianne Hartman. Hi, Julianne.
Hello.
Great to have you.
Well, thanks for having me. No one usually cares about me.
But you're the glue that holds it all together, so.
Yeah, no kidding. No. Wow, you made me exhausted just reading all the things that I do.
Well, listen, there's the best heroes are the ones who don't get enough credit. And so we're just so pleased that you took the time for us today. It really does mean a whole lot to us. First of all, how have you been? We haven't seen you since the world was shutting down at COVID last year. We were all in Hawaii together, and now we've gotten a year into it. What have you been up to?
Well, what's interesting is that we were at the airport leaving, and I was behind a guy, and he was paying for his water. And he just happens to mention to the guy he's buying the water from. Now, this is in the airport in Maui. He said, "Hey, I heard the whole world's going to shut down for 2 weeks." And I went back to where my husband was, and I'm like, can you believe this guy just said the whole world's going to shut down for 2 weeks? I'm like, what does he know? Little did I know. Yeah.
That it was happening.
Something? We went at it. We took time, and we have this a platform called Vision Possible, where we help people get their visions going. I mean, getting them moving. Yeah. If it's already in process and they're already doing it, we help them scale up a level. Anyway, so what we did in the very beginning is we took all of our businesses and we did it to ourselves. So we spent weeks and hours going over our own stuff, and it's called a business accelerator. And we hit it hard. And so, because we knew obviously this was going to lift at some point. We've just been going strong ever since. And then during that time, I birthed the Healing Journeys Today platform, which is a healing platform that literally was the whole design, the model, all of it is God's. I cannot take any credit whatsoever.
Wow. So we're going to get to that platform in just a second, because that's kind of the same way this podcast was birthed, out of some of this necessity things. For those of you who don't know who we're talking about, Julianne's husband is Butch Hartman. He is the creator of such legendary cartoons on Nickelodeon as The Fairly Odd Parents, and Danny Phantom, and Bunsen is a Beast, and Tough Puppy, and the list goes on and on. And now you guys have kind of shifted your focus to be a little bit more into family entertainment and family streaming. So tell us a little bit about OAXSIS and exactly what your vision is for that.
Yeah, well, OAXSIS actually was birthed 3 years ago. We were in a seminar, and this is something, though, that we had talked about years before. But as you know, when you've got young children and even teenagers, it's like, I need to be home. Like, I need to be with these girls. I'm only going to get one shot at this, right? So it wasn't for then. God gave us this idea many years ago, but again, it wasn't for them. But then at that time, 3 years ago, we were at this business summit, and it was Lance Wallnow that was doing the 7 mountains, and he's pointing to the top of the entertainment mountain, and he said, and he drew 2 stick figures. And he said, and we've got to do something about this. And those 2 stick figures, my husband and I looked at each other, and literally at the same time, it was like, boom, like this bolt. We said, it's us. And we've got to start this. And now at the time when we first thought about this, it was going to be a network, But now, because of technology, we've got to start this now. And so we did. We started literally researching to find out, what is it that parents want? And now, what the best thing about what did happen with COVID-19, parents got to see what their kids were watching, and they didn't like it. And so with all the research that we did, we are a family-focused entertainment platform. Now, when I say family-focused, I don't mean family boring. This is going to be fun, exciting. I don't want to watch boring entertainment. My husband is so not boring. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be suspenseful. It's going to be, you're going to cry, you're going to laugh, you're going to, be in suspense together. But we want to bring the families back together, because the families have disconnected so much. There's got to be a way. We all are influenced by entertainment. There's got a way to bring the two back together. And so that was what's behind it. And so when we were out 3 years ago talking to, masses of groups of people and talking about this, they were like, yeah, that's a good idea. And then after COVID hit, we started getting phone calls going, okay, remember that thing you told me about?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really needed, because we did not know. And we kept saying, guys, do you know what your kids are watching? Oh yeah, we know what they're watching. Well, when they were forced to be home, they were forced to look at what they were watching, and then things changed. So that's where we're at right now. And it's really exciting. We are now we've got our beta test ready.
Awesome.
And we've chosen 100 families to test for 30 days our platform. Yep. And
we want to volunteer.
You're already on the list.
Okay, great. Great.
Yeah.
Did you know about that, Jody?
Yeah, Jody.
We're excited. We've been waiting on bated breath ever since we ever heard Butch mention it the first time when we first met a number of years ago. So we're excited about it. Very good to hear about that you're moving into beta testing. That's super exciting. Now let's talk a little bit about you. Your history in this. You worked on Jeopardy for a while. What did you do there?
Well, that was my first job in the entertainment industry. Of course, I wanted to be an actress like anybody else in Los Angeles. And I'm born and raised here, so I didn't come from another, state like my husband did. But I wanted to be an actress. That was what I wanted to do since I was a little girl. And wasn't really making it, but I need to get a job. I needed money. And my mother told me many years ago, you're not the type to wait tables. You better learn to type. And so she was right. So I learned to type, and I answered an ad in Variety. And it just said, typist, 90 words a minute. Now, this is back in 1984. And so I go to now I'm going to really go back. People are not going to know who I'm talking about. But at the time, it was Merv Griffin Studios.
Sure.
And it was on Sunset and Vine. And I went there and they gave me a typing test. And I passed the test. And then they said, well, we want to have you come in now and we're going to interview you. We still can't tell you what the show is, but we want to see if, if this is going to be a good fit. So I went back for the interview with the HR department. And then the next interview was, okay, I passed that one, passed the typing. They said, well, now we want you to interview with our producer, Alex Trebek. He was the producer back then and the host. And she said, and if you pass this one, you're in. And I did. And I was there for 15 years.
Wow.
From 84. Yeah. Long time.
And then you transitioned into working for Billy Blanks. Is that where you went from there? And now I'm going to throw a clip up on the screen, and it's of you doing Tybo with Billy. And yeah. So it'll be yeah. So what? How did that work?
You show my abs back then.
Well, I'm sure it's the one of you doing the right next to him there. So
yeah.
So talk about that. What was that experience like? Because that meant you were in every house in America at that point, like not just your work, but your face.
Yeah. Well, so now on Jeopardy, I worked on the writing staff. So I was the writing supervisor. So now when I was still at Jeopardy, I remember I wanted to be an actress. So at Jeopardy, they gave me a lot of time if I need to go on auditions or whatever, because I, been there for a long time. So I was going on audition where I had to do a fight scene. So I had to learn how to fight. And so my manager got in the Yellow Pages, again, when the Yellow Pages were around. I'm really dating myself now. But anyway, B was obviously in the beginning of the Yellow Pages, Billy Blanks, and it said, martial arts. And so she got me an appointment with him. And I went in there and I said, hey, can you teach me how to do a fight scene? I have an audition tomorrow. So he did. He taught me how to do a fight scene for the camera. And I didn't get the job, but I never left. So I love to work out. And I know a lot of people they do it because they have to, but I do it because I love it. And I just loved what I did. I was like, wow, this is so cool. Well, at the time, Tybo had not been what it is yet. It was an exercise called aerobics. And so I went there. I could not leave because I knew that there was something there for me. I didn't know what it was. I became a martial artist. I'm a third degree black belt. Plus, I was a Tybo instructor. So now I leave Jeopardy because actually what happened was my nanny went blind that was taking care of our daughters.
Oh my gosh.
And one day. And I had to leave immediately. And so during that time of what do I do now? My Billy's ex-wife, wife at the time, had said to me, why don't you just come work for us? I don't know what you'll do, but just come work for us. Help Billy in a class or something like that. So that's what I did. And then I was with him for 20 years. And then I became his personal assistant. Remember, Tybo was just in Sherman Oaks. And one day it blew up.
Yeah.
And the world got to see Tybo. And so they were a mom and pop, and it was huge. And so I was I became his
a little
PR person. I became his man. I mean, I just did anything that I could to try to help them, navigate through the explosion of Tybo.
Yeah, it literally was an explosion. I lived in a small town in eastern Kentucky, and even us, we would see those infomercials all the time. They popped up everywhere. So, Julianne, in your time working for Billy, which is obviously a great thing, you've also had to transition. Now you're doing a healing ministry and video ministry on YouTube, where you're really presenting healing to people. But that's based out of personal experience that you had in your own life. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, in 2008, I woke up one morning. Now imagine I'm a trainer. I'm working out, 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. I knew what it was like to be sore, but this was something that was different. I woke up and I felt like I had the flu, and I thought, oh, well, I've got the flu. Well, one day went into 2, 3, 4, went into weeks, went into months. That's when I started going to doctors and saying, what the heck is going on with me? I feel like I've got the flu all the time. they were not able to, the Western doctors were not able to help me. They just said that, I can give you something, that might help the pain, but I can't give you anything to get rid of it because we don't know really what it is. But here, take this. And so I took it home, I researched it, and it said it caused cancer. So that was unacceptable. So I took it back the next day and I said, do you know that this causes cancer? Did you see this writing? And the doctor said, well, yeah, that's like 1 out of 1,000. I said, well, what if I was 1 out of 1,000? How would you feel that knowing I've got 2 young girls at home, that now I'm going to get cancer on top of this?
Yeah.
And he said, well, then don't take it. And I'm like, I'm not going to. So I went on my journey now with alternative doctors and holistic doctors.
Yeah.
Boy, that was interesting. You see some really crazy stuff out there. And a lot of it goes into new age, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But anyway, but I was desperate because I knew about healing. I'd been to a church
Sure.
that was part of their foundation was healing.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know it for myself. I had prayed for people and I saw healing with other people. But when it came to me, it was like I just couldn't see it for myself. And so I'd gone to a doctor, this one doctor who literally pinched my arm, pinched my leg, and then said, you have fibromyalgia. And I'm like, well, what's that? And he said, well, basically it's the trash can of, we don't know what's wrong with you, but it's an autoimmune. So we just call it fibromyalgia. And I'm like, all right, well, what do I do? He said, well, you won't die from it, but you'll die with it. And so I'm like, well, that's not gonna work for me at all.
Yeah.
So I came home and literally at that point, I drew a line. I mean, when they talk about drawing the line in the sand,
Yeah.
I drew that line in the sand because I spent over 300, well, not just me. When I say I mean my husband and I, because we were in this together.
Yeah.
And we spent over $300,000 on doctors.
My goodness.
And so I literally drew that line and I said, you know what? I don't care if I die, but I'm standing on this word because this is the only thing that will heal me.
Amen.
And so one thing about fibromyalgia is what I believe, I call it the emotional sickness, because it's based on, it really is based on emotions. And I mean like this kind of emotion.
Sure. Yeah.
Just your emotional health. And mine, obviously it wasn't good. And so anyway, then I found an amazing teacher, Andrew Wommack, on TV,
Yep.
who I thought was like, oh my gosh, this hick from Texas, he's boring. If you have insomnia, you might be able to go to sleep with him. But man, who could ever learn from him? Well, one day I had him on and he mentioned that this gentleman came to him and said that he had Parkinson's and that his whole body had stopped shaking, but his right arm was still shaking. And Andrew said to him, why don't you just tell your arm to stop shaking? And the guy said, okay. And he did. And the guy was completely healed. And so I was like,
Wow.
I took my remote control and went, wait a minute. What did you just say? And I rewound it and I listened. And then I went on the website and because Andrew is so generous, you can download all his material for free. I downloaded everything. And what I found out was everything I needed, I already had.
Oh, so
already
good.
had on the inside of me. Jesus wasn't going to go back to the cross and do it again. But everything, when I said yes to Jesus, I had everything that I need for the rest of my life here on this earth. And that's what started the whole thing. And so they did what they call a healing journey. It's like a documentary on my journey, but it was 7 years. It was a long time before I was completely free of all of it.
Yeah.
And so he's also done many healing journeys on many other people that had even worse situations than I did, where like, you're going to die, you know, kind of thing, like you're dying tomorrow if you don't do something. Well, so the Lord gave me this idea about putting everybody together, all the healing journeys, people from, from Andrew's website, and do a live conference. Well, we did that 4 times. And then we did one a year ago, January, and they're extremely successful. Of course, COVID hits, and who's going to want to have a building of a bunch of sick people? That wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So the Lord told me to go online and do a live conference. So we had 90,000 views.
Wow.
And that blew me away. So in the middle of that live conference, our friend of ours, we have do you remember John Tesh, Connie's son?
Sure.
Okay. Well, they are dear, dear friends of ours. Anyway, he calls my husband, and my husband's like, John, we're right in the middle of this live. He goes, Butch, you guys can't stop here. Do you realize what you have? You can't stop at just this live conference. You've got to do something much bigger than this and much greater. And so he goes, tell Julianne she needs to pray about this because God's got something huge. And I'm like,
wow.
Okay. So literally that was a Saturday. The next Monday, I went on my prayer walk, which I do 5 days a week. And I said, okay, Lord, where do I go from here? And he gave me the whole model. And now we have live teaching 7 days a week from 8 different teachers, 9 teachers, because we have the model. Okay, the model is this: morning, noon, and night. And we've got at least one time 7 days a week, but for 2 days we have a morning and a noon, and then a morning and a night. So I'm building with teachers, but it is amazing. And again, easiest thing I've ever done. The Lord gave me the whole model. I wrote it down. Our daughter works for us. She does everything, and it's amazing.
Amazing. That's so awesome, and it's encouraging to hear a story it's not just a mission for you. This is an experience that you're sharing with somebody else, and that's the kind of stuff that we love to hear. Folks, this is Julianne Hartman. She is the wife of illustrator and I'm trying to think of the right cartoonist. Animator. That's the word I was looking for. Butch Hartman from Nickelodeon fame. They have a ministry that is touching people all over the world. We're going to put some information up on the screen real quick to if you want to get involved in what they're doing. There it is, visionpossible.net, healingjourneystoday.com. You can follow her along on Facebook at Julianne Hartman or at Healing Journeys Today. Also on Instagram, it's the Read Red Tornado.
Well, actually, it's real. That's a typo.
It's a typo. Okay, we'll get that fixed. And then it's also Healing Journeys Today on YouTube, and that's where you can see most of the stuff that she was talking about on there. All right, Julianne, we could not thank you enough for your time today. We're so excited to call you guys friends, and we just look forward to seeing you guys at the next Increase event, but then also to get involved watching some of your stuff online. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. And we will see you in Hawaii.
For sure. All right, everybody, that's Julianne Hartman, and now let's stop for directions. The year was 1977. I was 6 years old, and my mother, Nancy, was diagnosed with an incurable blood disease called pemphigus. This disease was terrible as it would surface as open sores, often rupturing her skin all over her body. To make matters worse, while she was in the hospital, my mother had an adverse reaction to really what was a clinical trial of the medication and that caused her skin to swell up and then burst open even further. Needless to say, I, as a first grader, was in danger of losing my mother. This was one of the most traumatic times in our family's existence. There were times that I would go days or weeks without seeing her, as she was in the hospital for months at a time. And even though I didn't understand then the fullness of what was happening, I knew that there was something wrong and that my mom was not doing well. I was naive enough at the time to just believe that God was going to take care of her. I was raised to believe that. This, however, is not the reality of many people who are facing physical illness or mental illness in their lives. People that are facing things like COVID and cancer and heart disease, other things like this that are alive in the world today. And that's why a ministry like Julianne's is so important. This is a ministry that preaches the good news that Jesus heals today. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 24 says, by whose stripes you were healed. Folks, that's still for us today. Today, my mom stands whole with no signs of pemphigus, no signs that she was ever sick. Find out what God's word says about healing for you today. You don't have to face things like COVID, cancer, heart disease, HIV, or anything else alone. God has an answer, and that is his healing power, and it needs to be discovered by you today. Let God heal you by building your faith in Christ the healer. That's going to wrap it up for the show today. My thanks again to Julianne Hartman and her ministry, Healing Journeys Today. It's available on YouTube. Thanks to Jody and Preston for another great program. Next time, we welcome one of the Southern Gospel Singing Group members and Dove Award winner, John Darren Rousey, to the program. Until then, I pray that you found what you're looking for as you took the time today to expand your search and stop for directions. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for joining us today. Connect with us on @expandingyoursearch on Facebook and Instagram and @expandingsearch on Twitter. Relive any of our episodes on YouTube. We are available wherever podcasts are found, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can also download the Direction Ministries app on iOS, Android, Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. Take some time today to expand your search.